Hey there guys, welcome back to the channel. So, as you may have known, you see my out of the theater reaction to my most anticipated film of the year, and it's James Gunn's Superman movie. Now it's hit in theaters, and I was really looking forward to it. You know how hyped I was. You saw my trailer reaction. I've been on board ever since James Gunn had announced that he was the head of the DC Studios. He's a co-CEO, and Peter Safran is also the co-CEO at DC Studios, and they were in the middle of the rehabilitation for the last couple of years before they made the movie Superman. Because in recent years, before when James Gunn took over, I mean, people were losing faith in the DCEU, the old regime from WB. And for the past few movies from a couple of years ago, with The Flash, Blue Beetle, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, those movies were flopping left and right. I mean, yeah, Aquaman 2 made more money than the other films, but at the time, people were ready to give up and tap out, and they were losing faith. But thank God that James Gunn came in, and now he's in charge and tried to do more of a little bit of a soft reboot. They're still making the movie The Suicide Squad that James Gunn directed. That's going to be canon, and even Peacemaker Season 1, minus the Justice League cameo. That's going to be retconned completely, and they'll probably address it more once we get to Season 2 of Peacemaker, but I had faith in it because he was trying to structure a 8 to 10 year plan. And it seems like he was very passionate and that they were going to be very careful of certain projects that they're putting out and make sure that they make the best they can. And he will not greenlight a script for DC projects no matter what it is. If it's not ready and if it's not good for him, then he's not moving forward with these movies. And nobody ever thought that James Gunn would be the one to direct and write Superman, a new interpretation of the character that is more the comic book version that the fans have loved throughout the years. And I myself has not read a comic book. I mean, I grew up loving Superman. I watched the animated series from the 1990s. I grew up watching the Justice League animated series. I've watched the Richard Donner Superman movie. I loved Christopher Reeve's interpretation. I grew up on it. And watching the show Smallville, which is a series about Clark Kent growing up, learning who he is and where he comes from and what he's going to be when he one day will become Superman. And I thought that that show made me love the character even more, and it made him more grounded and real and relatable. Then they did Superman and Lois, which was another soft reboot to the DC television universe with Tyler Hoechlin. And I thought that show was great. Not perfect as Smallville, but it was still great that they had a beginning, middle, and end. And they took that interpretation of the character of him being a family man, and who's been Superman for 20 years, and trying to maintain a simple life as a father and as a husband, and being the world's greatest hero from Superman and Lois. And they end that show's run after Season 4 because James Gunn was doing a new Superman movie that is going to be harkening back to the silver screen. And how they're going to make this character relevant, we were hoping for the best, because lately people have not been caring much about the character Superman. I mean, they tried to reinvent the character Superman from Zack Snyder's Man of Steel, and I myself am a big defender of Man of Steel. I still to this day consider this as a masterpiece, and it's my favorite Superman movie. And it was great that it was a little bit more of a different interpretation to make him taking the character and putting him in our world today and making him a more grounded character and a little bit more of the godly mythic figure with Henry Cavill's Superman. And over the years, people were starting to grow with this version of Superman, but at the time, people were very mixed on it, and people were not liking this interpretation that it was a little bit more adult and more dark and edgy, taking the DCEU with Zack Snyder involved. But I, for one, enjoyed all three of his movies that he directed. I mean, BVS was not perfect, but it was still a good, solid movie, and I love the Snyder Cut of Justice League. I love that film. I love the film that we got, and I myself was ready to move forward and see where he was going to go after Justice League 2 and 3, but we knew deep down that was never going to happen, because the casual movie-going audience pretty much gave up the DCEU. They did not like his take on the DC characters, so and we all thought that Henry Cavill was going to be back as Superman after the whole Black Adam cameo in the mid-credit scene, and that we were so excited that he was going to come back and that they were going to give us something new and fresh. But apparently, no, the flop of Black Adam did not work out well, and they decided, no, we got to start fresh. And James Gunn was the one coming in. I mean, the one person that should be bitching about that didn't get multiple movies is Brandon Routh's Superman movie from Superman Returns. That movie was a hit and miss, It underperformed at the box office back in 2006. It was a more of a rehash to the Richard Donner Superman movie, and I thought Brandon Routh did a great job as Superman, and I would have loved to see him continue to play the role. Sure, he reprised the role on Crisis on Infinite Earths in the Arrowverse show, and he got to wear the Kingdom Come outfit, and it was great, but I feel like he should have gotten more. But I understand it is what it is. I mean, we can't have our cake and eat it too. That's just what it is. But I was so excited for James Gunn's take on Superman, because James Gunn, he was coming off of the heels of the Marvel Universe. He did the Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy. He did the Suicide Squad for DC when he got fired from Marvel at the time. And Peacemaker Season 1 became a banger show, a show that I had zero interest in. And I was so on board for his take, because he is truly a fan of the DC universe. He loves the comic books. Now, when they casted David Corenswet and Rachel Brosnahan as Lois and Clark as Superman, I was on board from day one. I had complete faith in it. Everybody agreed that David Corenswet was the perfect fit to play Superman. Nicholas Hoult, who was playing Lex Luthor, he also auditioned for the role of Superman, and he got the role of Lex Luthor instead. And I thought, you know what? Perfect. I think Nicholas Hoult would be a perfect choice to play Lex Luthor. I myself thought that maybe if he didn't get cast as Superman, maybe he would have gotten cast in the DCU's Batman. Because look back on before the Matt Reeves' Batman movie, he was in the front runner to play Batman for the Matt Reeves' Batman movie with close to Robert Pattinson, but Robert Pattinson got the role. Now, the good thing is that he's playing one of the most iconic characters. So this version of Superman that is supposed to be taking place in the new DCU world, where the metahumans have existed for over 300 years, and Superman's been Superman for 3 years, and you see him having the struggle of maintaining being the journalist and being a superhero to the world, and he's struggling to try to find his place in the world, and really cares about everybody and all about doing the right thing, until Lex is coming in and trying to ruin the whole thing, who wants to ruin his reputation. He sees him as a threat. He sees him as an AI, basically. And he doesn't see him as a hero. He thinks his whole superhero persona is just a facade to him. He doesn't see him as a human. He sees him as an alien. And after coming out of the theater, you see my out of the theater reaction. The reviews have been very positive, and they had a great word of mouth. But there were some people out there that thought this movie was going to be bad, and some people thought it was bad, and there were some people thought it was okay. I was worried that I might not be one of the people that loved the movie. But even though I had high hopes for it, I was still a little bit worried that it was going to disappoint me, because I was setting myself up for a disappointment. And thank God it did not. It really lived up to the hype. It was epic, emotional, great action, great visuals. A lot of people complained like over the past year that even for the trailers, that people were bitching about the visual effects and CGI being too wonky. And when I watched the movie, they totally fixed it in production. They fixed it in post, and it was great. The visuals were beautiful. The flying sequence with Superman was absolutely breathtaking. And they did a great job of doing the opening of a crawl text, but it's not going to be like the Star Wars opening crawl. It's just a crawl through a shot explaining about the whole world. That, like I said before, metahumans have existed for over 300 years. There are gods and monsters. There are aliens. There are a lot of superheroes living amongst us. We even got the Justice Gang, which is made by a corporation led by Maxwell Lord. Now, he's not in the movie much. Don't expect much of him in the movie. But you got with Hawkgirl, played by Isabela Merced. You got Guy Gardner's Green Lantern. And you got Mr. Terrific, which is a bunch of group of superhero gangs that are working for a corporation. And they're not in the film as much, but I thought Mr. Terrific was the scene stealer. He was the best part about that movie, and they're even talking about developing his own standalone series for HBO or HBO Max, if depending on which one that they're going to do. But they're thinking about it, and I wouldn't be against it. I wouldn't be surprised if they do it. He was the best part about that movie, and David Corenswet really embodied the character Superman from the comic books, and he really embodied the true good kindness, pure of empathy for humanity. He really cares about humanity. This is the most relatable Superman character that we haven't had in a long time, since we had with Smallville's Tom Welling, or when we had Superman and Lois with Tyler Hoechlin. This is the third time that they actually made him more grounded and real. And a lot of people are saying that they powered down Superman, that he's the weak Superman. Sure, he's not going to be as strong as Henry Cavill's Superman, but he is still a powerful character in the world. Lex Luthor mentioned in the trailer, he is the most powerful being on Earth. And there's going to be some person out there that will be stronger than him, that one person that will defeat Superman for the first time in his career for the past 3 years. And David Corenswet really embodied the character very much. It's not about the Superman. It's not all about the powers he have or what suit he wears. It's his morality, his empathy for humanity, his careness, his pure joyfulness. He cares about everybody. He thinks everybody deserves to be saved, even every living thing on the planet. He will give everybody second chances. And I thought that Nicholas Hoult's Lex Luthor is an evil son of a bitch. He is probably the best Lex Luthor we have since Michael Rosenbaum, but I still prefer Michael Rosenbaum as my favorite Lex Luthor from Smallville. I still think that he did a great job for that role because we had him for past 7 seasons of Smallville, so it's kind of unfair to make a comparison when we only had him for like 2 hours in the movie, and I thought that he really did a great job. I mean, this is a character that is a billionaire corporation who is willing to do whatever it takes to take down Superman because it's getting in the way of his reputation, because he doesn't believe that he is the savior of humanity. He believes himself to be the savior of humanity, and he's getting in the way from his glory. That's kind of staying true, traditional comic book character from Lex Luthor, and Nicholas Hoult really embodied it. And I really love the Kent family. Now, Martha Kent is not in the film much, neither is Pa Kent, but when you see in the scene that was shown in the trailer with him giving him the pep talk of his choices, his actions is what makes him who he is, I thought that scene really hit hard in context because it was building to something. There is a plot twist that is going to piss a lot of people off, for the fans that grew up loving the Superman mythos. There, without spoiling anything, and granted, this is a non-spoiler review. Please, for the love of God, do not spoil this in the comment section. I would really appreciate it, because I don't want anyone to get ruin the surprises, because you should definitely see it for yourself, and you know what I'm talking about. There's a scene with Jor-El and Laura, the hologram message, and there's a major plot twist that completely pulls a 180, and I won't give away too much, but I thought that really caught me off guard, and I had mixed feelings of it when I watched it for the first time, but then looking back and thinking about it, I think that part is very misleading, but I won't go into it too much. And it's confirmed a while back that Bradley Cooper is playing Jor-El, and I thought that the whole message of that Superman doesn't have to rely on what his birth parents set him out to be. He is who he is because that's the way he was raised from his adoptive family, and that they raised him to care and teach him from right and wrong, and that he chose to do the right thing. And him doing the right thing is very hard to do in today's world, because the world is a very dark place, and it's a very messy thing. And the scene in the interview with Lois and Clark doing an interview, and having Lois like coming at him hard questions that he wasn't expecting, that he's interfering of war, and he believes that he stopped the war, but he made things worse, because interfering with a political conflict creates a little bit of a consequences. But he was all about doing the right thing, because a lot of people are about to die, and he's like, what the hell are you asking me those questions? Why are you acting this way? But I love Rachel Brosnahan's take on Lois Lane. I thought they stayed true to the character. They gave us a character that she is all about getting to the truth. She sees in the gray area. She's all about asking the hard questions, and she's all about getting to the truth. And she's always 10 steps ahead of them. And their relationship between the two of them was absolutely sparking. It was great. I loved the love story between Lois and Clark with David Corenswet and Rachel Brosnahan. Their chemistry was so natural and organic, and I love their screen time together, because sometimes love story in comic book movies doesn't always work. There are rare exceptions, but this is one of the exceptions that they actually done right. You really believe their chemistry. You believe that they are in love, and that and here's the thing: Superman is nothing without Lois. Lois is the anchor to his world, and she's the reason why he keeps going and doing what he does best. And like I said, this is the first time in a long time that they made Superman more grounded and more relatable than we ever had before. They actually gave him a personality. They made him more human than that we have had seen in the past iterations, and I felt so connected with them. And I brought this up in my out of the theater reaction that I think he might be my favorite Superman. Now, take this with a giant grain of salt. I've only seen the movie once. I may be having a little bit of a recency bias because I've just seen the movie yesterday, because I'm seeing it again tomorrow, and I'm really excited, but as of now, he might be my favorite Superman. No disrespect to Henry Cavill. I love his take on Superman, and I would have loved to see more of it, but at least he got a chance to have 3 movies, even though he hadn't been in a lot of it as much. But I still am invested to his version of Superman. in that you don't want to make Superman too powerful. Like James Gunn brought it up like weeks ago, that we don't want to have Superman that can punch a planet. You want to have Superman that can have struggle. You want to have Superman that can actually be hurt and be vulnerable. But he's a character that will always get up fighting no matter what. Even if he gets knocked down, he keeps getting back up and overcomes the obstacles, and he's still Superman. And you want to have that, because without that, then there's no stakes. There's no point. It's a cop-out. Don't get me wrong, I love when Henry Cavill is an all-powerful god, and it was great seeing him kick ass. But this version of Superman, he's not all about just kicking ass and taking names. And I've already brought this up, but it's all about his humanity and his morality. That's what makes him Superman. It's not about how badass he is. It's not about how cool of a suit he wears. It's more than that. And I loved his portrayal of Superman, and I can't wait for more of him to come. The world that James Gunn set up for the DCU was absolutely incredible. It was unapologetic that it is a comic book world. It's not a DC character that could take these characters and bring them into our real world in our time. This is the comic book world. It's a fantasy. You're entering a fantastical world in the comic book world. And it does feel like a little bit of a Saturday morning cartoons. It feels like you're watching the Superman animated series come to life with the Justice League Unlimited. And James Gunn did a great job of doing an introduction to some of the DC characters that will set up in future DC projects. And I'm so invested in the direction they're going. Now, I'm going to get the negatives out of the way. I know you've been hearing me saying great stuff about the film, but I'm going to get into some of the negatives. Now, the one major negative I have is that the movie felt way too short. I felt like the movie flew by so quickly that it didn't feel like it was 2 hours. I felt like it felt like it was like 80 to 90 minutes. I wish they were giving us a little bit more time to breathe with some of the characters, especially the Daily Planet crew. Now, Jimmy Olsen was amazing. He was one of the highlights of the movie. He had more screen time than the rest of the crew, especially with Perry White, Cat Grant, and LeBard. Most of them were completely one note. They were not bad. I wanted more. I would have loved to explore them at the Daily Planet, and I would have wanted to explore more of the Clark Kent disguise. I would have loved to explore more of Clark Kent being a journalist, a little bit more. I feel like we only got a brief of it in the movie, and I love the Clark Kent disguise. The disguise was brilliant. The look, the appearance, and his posture, you really believe that he's somebody else. James Gunn knew the assignment, and he gets it, but I still wish they would have explored it a little bit more. But granted, you got to understand, there's so many characters in the movie, especially with the Justice Gang. You don't want to shove so many subplots, and you don't want to turn this into Spider-Man 3 situation when you have so many storylines for each of these characters, and it feels like you're watching multiple movies. You want to keep the focus on Superman's point of view, and that's what the film did. I love the introduction of Metamorpho. I mean, they don't explore too much of his backstory, but he served a great purpose in the movie, and I thought he was great. I would have loved to see more of it. I can't wait for more. And yeah, like I said, that the movie felt too short. I wish it was a little bit longer, but I did mention about the plot twist with Jarrell and Laura with the whole message thing without giving away too much. I had mixed feelings about it, but then looking back on it, I think it's misleading. I think it's done on purpose because we're focusing on Superman's point of view. We as an audience are Superman, and we're trying to discover what the hell is going on. And then I will say that some of the characters from the Justice Gang, like Hawkgirl, she kind of felt like she was there for the ride, but I thought she was good, but she didn't have that much development. And I love Guy Gardner, played by Nathan Fillion, playing Green Lantern. He was awesome in the movie. He was funny as hell. Yeah, he's a jackass. Yeah, he still has a heart, but he's a total asshole in general. He's not gonna, he has the bowl cut on purpose. He's a ridiculous goofball of the gang, and Mr. Terrific and Hawkgirl don't really take him seriously. But I love that character. I can't wait to see more of him in the Lantern series. And in the Lantern series, that's going to be an R-rated HBO series, and he's going to be dropping a lot of F-bombs. But here's the thing. Overall, I think that this is my second favorite Superman movie. I can't wait for more. I still wish the movie could have been longer, but hey, it is what it is. I understand why, and it's going to make me want to go back to see it multiple more times. And one thing I forgot to mention, Krypto the Super Dog. I fucking love Krypto the Super Dog in the movie. I knew that James Gunn was going to take Krypto in the movie, because if you've seen his past movies with Guardians of the Galaxy and the Suicide Squad, he always brings in a lot of these animal characters and make them more compelling. and actually very impactful and make us attached to it and make it cute. And Krypto is a worst dog in the world, and he took a lot of inspirations from his dog that he adopted named Ozu, who destroyed a lot of his things. But it took him time to train him and try to take care of the dog. But he is a crazy dog with high energy, and he took that idea and used it for Krypto. And Krypto's relationship between him and Superman was so good. That's not even supposed to be his dog. He's just taking care of the dog and looking out for him. But he always destroys the fortress. He's always taking a lot of damage. But he still actually helps out in the movie with Superman. I wish there was more Krypto in the movie. I would have loved to explore that relationship between the two of them. I love the Krypto. He's a loving dog. He's maybe the worst dog, but he's the dog that Superman actually loves, and he cares for it. And overall, this was definitely a great movie, great time at the theater, a pure joy of entertainment. Sure, there are some minor problems I have with the film, but I feel like when the more I watch it, the more I start to appreciate it more and more. And I think that's the idea with this movie, that James Gunn is trying to give us a little bit less and try to make us crave for more DC projects and more Superman. I think that was the idea what James Gunn wanted to do. And I could totally tell throughout the movie that some of the scenes felt like it was chopped. And I feel like that there's a lot of scenes that were not in the movie that I saw in the trailer. And I wish they could have left that in, but I get why. I would love to see a director's cut of James Gunn's Superman movie, but I highly doubt that he's going to do it. It's not going to happen. But because the movie's receiving well for critics and audiences, I don't think he has a reason to do a director's cut. I'm pretty sure we'll have a deleted scenes. And I will say that the two post-credit scenes, I don't think they're that important. I don't think it is, because it's just a one mid-credit scene where it's like, oh, it's cute, it's adorable, but it just cuts away so quickly. Then the second post-credit scene, it was a fun scene to watch, but it was not that necessary. You're not really missing anything. I don't think it's something that you have to sit through for 10 minutes of the movie to get through the credits, because it's not really setting up anything. And there's one major cameo in the movie that I was not expecting, but it was funny and I liked it. And there's another cameo in the movie that I was like, oh, that I'm really interested. And there's some couple of music choices that I did not like that felt a little bit jarring at times, but I feel like the more I watch it, the more it bothers me a lot less. But I still appreciate how they ended the movie, and I can't wait for more. I mean, James Gunn is heading in the right direction for the DCU. Now, look, there's going to be people out there that is not going to be made for everybody. Some people may not like his take on this version of Superman. Some people may not like this world. And it does happen. There are people out there that did not like this movie. And I don't think this is a divisive movie. I think this is the movie that anyone can go out and enjoy, especially taking your family out to see the film. And I think it's going to make $1 billion at the box office. I stand by it. I definitely believe it will, especially when you have a great positive word of mouth from critics and audiences. It's sitting at 82% on Rotten Tomatoes from critics, and it's sitting at 95% for the verified audience rating on Rotten Tomatoes. That shows you that people are ready to see Superman back on the big screen, and we all need a character like this today, because we had so much darker times going on in the world today that we need someone who has a pure goodness of humanity and inspire us to want to be a better person. Superman has always inspired me to want to be a better person, and this version of Superman, it definitely did it a lot more, and I really loved it. I can't wait to see this movie again. I can't speak on it enough. I know you hear me rambling on for a long time, so I'm going to get into my rating. I'm going to give this Superman movie a 9 out of 10. It's a 9 out of 10. Now, there might be a couple of things in the movie that might bother me when I watch it again, but I feel like that the more I watch it, the better it gets. It's going to be my second favorite Superman movie. I still say Man of Steel is the best one. But anyway, enough of me rambling. What did you think of Superman with James Gunn? Did it live up to your expectations, or were you disappointed by it? Leave me your thoughts in the comment section below. And like I said before, do not spoil the movie. Please don't do that, because that would be a total dick move. Because if you do that, I'm going to delete it. I will delete the spoilers. Because I don't appreciate you guys trying to ruin the surprises for everybody, because people will read the comments. But anyway, be respectful. You can give me your short thoughts on what you thought about the movie, but don't go into it too much. But I would really appreciate it. So, if you like this review, make sure you hit that like button. It does help support the channel. And if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell notifications so you know when my videos are up. And if you want to follow my social media platforms, the link tree will be down in the description down below. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys have a great day, great evening, wherever you're from, and stay tuned for more of my content.